There's been some rumblings of late coming from Chicago about how terrible Mitchell Trubisky truly is. This, of course, coming from fans of a franchise with a terrible history at quarterback. You'd think they'd be used to it by now. Now that I think more about it, this is the most promise that they have had at quarterback since Rex Grossman, the last time the team made the Super Bowl. I want to congratulate the Miami Dolphins for officially becoming the NFL's version of FCS team, where you can serve as a warm up for everybody's next real game. You're so bad. Your product is so terrible that you got teams lining up to trade for your next star in line, and you have a product that's so bad you couldn't even sell it on Shark Tank. All of that and more on the other side of the intro.
AI Sports presents Let's Talk Football, with John Behrens and Josh Perkins. Check out AISportsNetwork.com.
Welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Football. My co-host has slipped into a moment of speechlessness. uh,
Wow. Wow. What's your frustration?
my frustration?
Yeah.
Everything.
That's no surprise.
Well, I know, right? So, okay, so not much of an exciting week in college football. There were a few noteworthy things. Some teams you just can't give something nice to. Like
Maryland.
like Syracuse was given a top 25 ranking, and that lasted 1 week to Maryland, who were then awarded with their own top 25 ranking and lost that after 1 week.
Also, Arizona State, after their huge win over Michigan State on the road this past weekend, they're now ranked in the top 25. So let's see if they'll appreciate nice things.
I don't know. I'd say at this point I'm impressed with the progress that Coach Edwards has made with the Sun Devils.
I mean, Arizona State's looking good. They just have to, I would say, stay consistent. I mean, their defense has proven to be a force to reckon with. I mean, now, granted, Michigan State has one of the worst offenses I've seen, very inconsistent, but Arizona State was able to pull a gritty win, especially out in the elements of East Lansing.
Mm. Well, you kind of knew that Coach Edwards, his offense, I'm not offense, his defenses were probably going to perform pretty well because that is his stick. How they can do and keep up with the rest of the Pac-12 when they get into conference play, I don't know.
Well, we're going to see, like, when they got to play against teams like as far as conference is concerned, like teams like maybe like Washington or Washington State or Oregon. I almost have my teams mixed up, but those are some of the teams that if Arizona State were to play them, we'll see how good they are because those are teams that got dynamic offenses. I mean, you got Washington State who runs the air raid. I mean, you got Oregon. I think Oregon runs the spread, I believe, right?
Yes.
We had Justin Herbert at quarterback. So going against those type of teams, then that's when we'll see how good that Sun Devils defense really is.
Another question concerning the Pac-12 that has me is what the hell is going on with Chip Kelly? I mean, this is not the UCLA Bruins. This is the UCLA Ruins.
Oh wow. Well, we're talking about a team with one god awful offense and a god awful defense. You look at I think it's Chip Kelly. I guess this is seeing him as washed up. I mean, during his first stint, in the Pac-12 with Oregon, I mean, this man was an unstoppable force. I mean, he always had the best defense, probably the fastest offense in the nation. I mean, a couple guys like D'Anthony Thomas, Kenyon Barner, just a couple guys to name. But this stint's not going so well for Chip Kelly. And this is where, if you're a UCLA fan, this is the time to panic. And this is a time for Chip Kelly's hot seat to catch a lot of fire. Like his hot seat is engulfed in flames right now.
Is it because UCLA wasn't fantastic before he got there, and they certainly aren't doing well now?
I think they're doing a lot worse than before he got there.
Fair enough. But then again, they did have Josh Rosen at quarterback.
They did, but you look at how the UCLA Bruins are performing. Chip Kelly, his hot seat is engulfed in flames. Like Chip Kelly, I mean, come on now. First 2 games of the season, you go against Group of 5 talent and you lose both of those games. Plus, you let Oklahoma come in now. Oklahoma's ranked 5th in the nation. That's understanding. I mean, of course, they're led by Jalen Hurts, but at the same time, you let the Sooners come in on your home turf and hang, 48 points on you and embarrass you. So now you're 0-3. You only win, 3 games in your first 2 seasons? Well, you're on your second season now. You only won 3 games. Like, this is not the Chip Kelly that people knew back when he was at Oregon.
So this hit the news. Who did Florida State play this weekend? Was it UCF?
No, it was Virginia.
Virginia? Who did UCF beat? Because I know they beat a power.
UCF beat Stanford.
Stanford. So, should I be impressed with that? I mean, after all, Stanford, in their only other real challenge of the year, got blown out at home. I think it was at home. No, to USC. But now
Actually, Stanford was on the road.
Stanford was on the road. Okay, they got their asses kicked by UCF, a team that typically does not have much of a defense.
But a team with a dynamic offense.
Without Milton.
Well, I mean, they showed a lot of promise with Dario Mack at quarterback, but I mean, Dario Mack didn't even play this game.
Oh, yeah. Then I really don't know what to think. Maybe UCF is just that much better this year, or Stanford is just that bad.
I think UCF is just that good.
But you can also make the argument that Stanford is just that bad now that they've had 2 blowout losses in their first 3 games.
And their starting quarterback is done for what he's done for the year, right?
I think so.
So, and we just have to accept the fact that UCF is a true perennial talent that deserves a lot of respect. They deserve that, say if they were all to win out for the rest of the year, maybe they deserve a look at, well, not only being in the New Year's Six Bowl, but also maybe 14 playoff. I mean, people have been talking about it since UCF went undefeated and knocked off Auburn in the New Year's Six. So don't be surprised when we see UCF in another New Year's Six.
Oh, I expect them to be there, or at least in the running for one towards season end.
UCF is just that team, and it's obvious. I mean, they carried the mantle from Boise State. Boise State was the team who paved the way for a Group of 5 competition to really make themselves known on the national stage. So, I mean, UCF, they are that new Group of 5 dark horse. They're that new team that can hang with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Stanford's a team that's on a decline. They're a team that's struggling. But anytime, if you're a team from the American Conference, which is a Group of 5 conference, and you defeat a Power 5 opponent in that manner that y'all beat them in, that's something to be proud of. 45-27.
Yeah. Also, in college football this past week, reason why we're not talking about any real top 25 teams is because they all came in and took care of business like they were supposed to. It was a very, very low key weekend for the powerhouses as far as competition goes. I mean, they all just put stats up on top of stats and then padded out with a few extra stats.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, but Kansas destroying Boston College 1 week after not even scoring 10 points against Coastal Carolina.
I think what's going on is that Les Miles is gauging everything out. I mean, this is only his first season as the Kansas head coach, so you want to gauge out your strengths and your weaknesses. So I think that's what the Mad Hatter is doing, and I think that he's starting to find a formula of how he can turn these Jayhawks into actual Big 12 competitors.
He's going to need more than one season to do that.
Well, it's going to take him about 3 or 4 seasons. I mean, Kansas was barely winning anything before Miles even got there. So, but I think the Jayhawks are on the right path.
But they're definitely making better plays now for at least 1 week. We'll see how that carries over to next week and beyond.
In other news, send prayers to the Florida Gators and Felipe Franks. This past Saturday night, as the Gators were competing against the Kentucky Wildcats, Felipe Franks suffered a season-ending injury. So this could be something that can probably derail Florida's season, because Florida, I mean, they proved it last season in Dan Mullen's first year that Florida was on a quest back to relevance. They were on a quest back to prominence, and so I feel that this injury probably might have derailed them. Though the backup came in and handled his business, I don't know how long that type of magic is going to last.
Well, on a true competitor, it is always next man up.
Well, I mean that's a philosophy that Dan Mullen has kind of made his hallmark as a head coach. That's something that a lot of head coaches should make into their hallmark.
All right. Well, like I said, the top 25, those who really matter took care of business. And so we really don't have much to talk about as far as they go. I won't even sit here and say who made a better case and but the now interestingly developing storyline for the Heisman Trophy, which now has, I would say, arguably two guys in the running who weren't originally there to start the season.
And those guys would be
Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow. I think those two have played their way into the Heisman conversation.
And they're both making cases of why they're dark horses in their race. I mean, me personally, I had Jalen Hurts in my race before the season even started. Just knowing how Lincoln Riley gels with his quarterbacks. You look at how he was able to coach Baker Mayfield and how he coached Kyler Murray. So having that type of influence and having that type of impact on the guy, having Lincoln Riley in such a dynamic offensive formation and dynamic offensive system, I automatically had made Jalen Hurts a Heisman candidate, because Lincoln Riley was going to be able to unlock parts of Jalen's game that he probably didn't even know about. So that's why I had Jalen in my race. And then Joe Burrow, I mean, you got Joe Brady. So what's more there to say?
Mm-hmm. Well, both have definitely, I think, outperformed expectations to this point. So we'll see how the season develops for those as it moves forward. Okay, week 2 of the NFL is now in the books, and there's some good, some bad, and some flat out ugly.
Well, look, I just want to say this. Look, Miami, we get that you suck. We get that y'all are terrible, but you don't have to rub it in our faces every week, okay? Just saying.
I mean, 58 points in your season opener, and then 43 points in your second game.
At least they put up 10 in week 1. At least they showed some type of effort. At least you want to be nice about that?
Huh?
I guess not, huh?
10 points in garbage time after the garbage collection has already come and gone.
Oh, wow. He said even after the garbage collection has came and gone. Oh, wow.
I'm just being real here. This is bad, man. I mean, that is just terrible.
Lamar Jackson has turned into probably the most feared quarterback to play against this year in the league. Apparently, that Ravens coaching staff really got with Lamar during the offseason, and they really What I like about Coach Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson, he's letting Lamar Jackson stick to his identity, which is, I mean, not only throwing it, but being able to kill an opponent with his legs. But I feel that Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh came to some type of compromise in the offseason as far as the amount of throws Lamar Jackson can take, the amount of time that he can run. I feel like they really came to a pretty good compromise as far as the offense, the way that to move the offense is concerned.
Well, you said let Lamar Jackson stick to his identity. Well, last year that was run around like you're possessed by helter skelter, and then only throwing the ball is the last ditch effort to dodge the bomb hitting.
Well, all right, with Lamar Jackson, well, all right, so
Because he averaged less than 200 yards passing last year.
but I mean,
Now he's averaging nearly 300.
so all right, with Lamar Jackson, I mean, from his days in Louisville, I mean, I knew that Lamar Jackson was a talented passer. But when he got into the league last year, yes, he was running all over the place like Atlanta Michael Vick. But at the same time, I mean, we knew that Lamar was young. He was a rookie in the league, and so I feel that Lamar was kind of holding back. And it's like Lamar Jackson has gotten so comfortable to where he can go out there like the back of his hand, like second nature, and he doesn't really have to hold back because he has full faith and confidence in his entire offense.
Coach Harbaugh having faith in his entire offense. That's almost seems a bit of irony. I don't know. Maybe the Ravens actually have a quarterback for once.
They do, and he's young too. He's only in his second season in the league.
Because I'm legitimately surprised by this. Like, I did not see this coming out of Lamar Jackson. I expected some improvement in this passing game, but this has gone from being a less than rookie passer to almost a seasoned vet.
to somebody who can possibly win MVP this season, if he keeps playing the way he's playing now. I mean, MVP might be a little far fetched, but if you look how Lamar Jackson can move that Ravens offense up and down the field, and how he can come up clutch and how he can make plays for you, this can be a guy to kind of keep in your dark horse MVP candidate list.
Mm-hmm. At the very least, most improved player.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I saw against Miami, and they were like, "Oh, well, Miami's tanking, Miami this, Miami that." It's still pro football, and Lamar Jackson went out there and put up a perfect passer rating. Then he goes out against the Cardinals, and he puts up over 200 yards passing and over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah, he did do that. I forgot he rushed for over 100
Yes, the
yards.
Cardinals are tanking as well. They got a, they don't, their team leaves a lot more to be desired. But at the same time, it's the NFL. Like, any given Sunday, anything can happen.
Well, I'm watching the Cardinals. I am. I'm trying to see. Okay, did they make the right move? Did they not make the right move? What? Kyler Murray has looked okay.
I mean, yeah, typical for a rookie. I mean, he's looked decent.
The only reason why he hasn't been as bad as Rosen was last year is, I think, because he's more mobile. And so far, that's been the big difference between him and Rosen, is that Murray is more mobile and can escape pressure a little bit more efficiently.
I think with the Cardinals, for them to be successful, they got to get a legitimate rushing attack going in the backfield. They need to, because I'm seeing Kyler Murray's stats. Kyler Murray is pulling that ball 45, 50 times a game.
Well, the Cardinals have some actual talent, young talent on that team. What it ends up translating to, I don't know. Every time I give hope in the Cardinals of developing something, I get slapped in the face with a pancake.
I think it's just going to take time for Coach Kingsbury to really improve that team. And they can't do how they did the previous head coach. You got to give Coach Kingsbury time. And he's young as well, so.
And what's with the clapping before every snap? I mean, you trying to play football or patty cake?
Well, I think that the clap. I think what quarterbacks do. I think they use as dummy claps as a way to. It's like a tactic to try to throw off the defense. So as far as clapping, it's kind of more of a dummy clap. I mean, I was watching LSU versus Texas, and I mean, Kirk Hershey was saying it about Joe Burrow's clapping. It's
Okay.
more as a way to maybe confuse the defense.
Because this is new to me. I don't know.
I mean, it's not really new to me, but I've been wondering why quarterbacks will always clap. It's one or two reasons. One, you want to let the center know that, hey, go ahead and start the cadence so we get the play started, or it's a way to maybe confuse the defense, whether it's by formation or by snap count.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense to me. Because I've seen quarterbacks clap before, but not before every single play. This is new to me. It's just like, okay.
Fear of the dummy clap
Hmm.
for your defense will be in a sea of confusion.
So the Chargers lost.
To the Lions.
I mean, wow. Just wow.
And no, I mean, it was a lot of penalties. It seems that when the Chargers were able to get plays going, it was the penalties that killed them. And I think it was like 2 touchdowns that got called back.
Yeah, they had
because
2
of-
touchdowns called back by penalties, and then
they fumbled in the
fumbled.
end zone.
which you could definitely argue that ball crossed the plane.
It did. I mean, I watched replays of it. I missed a lot.
To
of
me,
the
that was a
plays.
blown call.
That was, but referees like to blow calls these days because they're just waiting on a longest yard situation. It happened to when Paul Crew just throws a ball into their, to their Bible sacks. And I think they want to know the sensation of how it feels, so they intentionally make bad calls. I've gotten down to science on why referees do this.
Yeah, it's like because that was a really bad call. The call against Chicago or in the Chicago game where they claimed that he miraculously called a timeout in less than a second, or simultaneously.
And I really think the Broncos had gotten really, they had gotten the raw deal, like the short end of the
Because
stick of the
his
game.
knee touched the ground with 1 second left, but his coach Fangio was saying people don't make simultaneous actions. I mean, okay, knee touched the ground,
knee touched the ground.
then you call the timeout.
But he's in bounds, so the clock keeps running.
Keeps running.
And the clock turns 0, then Coach Nagy calls a timeout? Or was Coach Nagy trying to call a timeout while the play was going on?
I don't know, because it takes 1 second. That's not enough time to have his knee touch the ground and
Call a timeout, and
with
the
time
referee
still
to blow
left on.
and the referee to blow a whistle. So I really think that the Broncos had gotten the short end of the stick in that game. I mean, Joe Flacco, I think he was very impressive as far as leading the Broncos back in that game. Low scoring affair, but that the Broncos really got shafted in that one. Broncos should have won that game.
Yeah. So now let's touch up on the other side of the ball. Mitchell Trubisky. I mentioned that in my opening monologue. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Mitch Trubisky has surprisingly been disappointing this season.
Yeah. But like I said, it's Chicago. When have they had a good quarterback?
Their last good quarterback,
Like legitimately good quarterback.
wasn't it McMahon?
Even McMahon was at best a sufficient game manager.
Well, I think we need to go to before I was born.
Before the Super Bowls.
Yeah, well, maybe the 70s.
Because before
70s,
Ditka,
80s.
they certainly didn't have a good quarterback. They completely wasted Dick Butkus' entire career with ineptitude on that side of the ball.
Yep. So I wasn't even around at the time that the Bears really actually had their last good quarterback. So that's something for you.
If they even had one, I honestly don't know. I have to go back and look it up because my understanding in Chicago, their formula for winning has always been dominating defense,
Mediocre.
strong running game, good quality special teams,
And maybe a mediocre passing attack.
and maybe a mediocre passer,
Maybe.
which is what they have with McMahon, and that's what they have with Rex Grossman.
I wouldn't call Rex Grossman's passing mediocre. Rex Grossman was not the best quarterback I've seen, and I'm saying that loosely. The only reason why the Bears are so successful is because, like you said, dominating defense. You know that they also had really strong special teams as well. They knew how with their special teams, especially having Devin Hester back there, their special teams knew how to change the game of field position. And
And that's the formula they've had the two times they got to the Super Bowl. Now, you asked me the difference between them winning it and losing it, because they're now officially 1-1 in the Super Bowl, is that in 2006, they ran into Peyton Manning and the Colts, who had
the greatest show on turf.
one of the greatest offenses of all times. In 1986, 85 officially, but 86 was when. Okay, so I guess in 2007, because 86 was when the Super Bowl was played. 85 was the year the season was played. But in that game, they ran into a heavily outmatched Patriots team that arguably didn't even belong there. Whom you can also argue they did the Bears a favor in knocking off the Dolphins that year, who were not only the only team to beat Chicago that year, but gave them a flat out beatdown. Like, they didn't just score on the Bears defense that year; they put up a clinic, like 40 plus points on the 85 Bears defense.
And when you're talking about 85 Bears defense, we're talking about the original Monsters of the Midway.
Actually, I think Monsters in the Midway comes from the Dick Butkus era.
Oh. But I mean, the 85 Bears defense was pretty talented.
Oh yeah, Mike Singletary. Obviously,
And who can forget Mike Singletary? He was a legend as a player, but just a sad excuse for a head coach. Yeah, I went there.
he was pretty bad. He was.
Now, I will give Mike Singletary his props. Hell of a football player. I mean, I watched some of his highlights from when he was playing ball. I mean, in my opinion, one of the best linebackers to ever do it. But just a sad excuse for a coach. But then that's why you don't really want to put former players as coaches.
No,
It just turns into a conflict of interest.
the history there of former players being coaches is not too great, unless they were failed players.
True.
You know, because let's see, Jim Harbaugh was a quarterback, didn't make it, but had at least a good first stint in college and a reasonably successful NFL career.
Oh, he was. I mean, San Fran should never fired him. What, you missed the playoffs once, but you still have a winning record, so you want to go ahead and fire one of the best head coaches you've had in a long time, and Coach Harbaugh?
Yeah, and I know Sean Payton was a player who didn't make it, as was Spurrier.
Yes, Steve Spurrier.
Steve Spurrier was a quarterback who never played it down in the NFL.
And now he is one of the greatest head football coaches in college football history.
Yeah, going to be coaching in the XFL next year.
That's going to be awesome. Now I'm definitely going to watch it.
Okay, so let's see what else. More injuries. Ben Roethlisberger out for the season. Drew Brees out for 6
weeks.
6 to 8 weeks.
Eli Manning
Officially benched for
Daniel
Daniel
Jones. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I didn't even expect to see Daniel Jones step on the field this year. I really thought that he was going to be more of a project. I mean, he came from Coach Radcliffe and Duke, so it was going to take some time to really get Daniel Jones acclimated to such a new way of life and a new system. So we're going to see how good Daniel Jones really is. I mean, if Daniel Jones can put some W's on that record, we could probably see the end of Eli Manning's time in New York.
I'm surprised we saw Eli Manning in New York for this long. Like, really.
I really believe that a few years ago he should have been released, at least like maybe 3 to 4 years ago.
Yeah. Let's see. Jalen Ramsey now wanting out of Jacksonville, which is bad. Mika Fitzpatrick
Traded to Pittsburgh.
traded to Pittsburgh. I mean,
Antonio Brown hit with sexual assault allegations, in which yesterday, Brittany Taylor, who is the alleged victim in the NFL, had to sit down. I don't know the details on that. But, I mean, Antonio Brown on the bright side in his case, which I don't care what anybody says, AB forced himself out of Oakland, and he did everything he could to get out of Oakland. Well, if you wanted to be out of Oakland, why in the world did you sign a fat contract and they wasted all that money? Now, the good part about Mayock is that Oakland was able to keep all that money that AB was supposed to be guaranteed. So Oakland never really took a loss. All they really did was maybe free up some space in their salary cap.
do you really think that was by accident, though? I mean, come on, man. He was a free agent long enough for his paperwork to clear before he signed with the Patriots.
I mean, I don't think the Steelers wanted to do a trade with the Patriots. I think the Patriots were trying to work out a trade somewhere under the table. It just never really reached. It didn't really reach like as far as NFL Live and ESPN and Sports Center. Like it didn't reach like the masses. I really think this is something that AB wanted to kind of do under the table.
No, I mean, he wanted to go to the Patriots from the get go. Even Jerry Rice came out and said that. We all got played. And, yeah.
I mean, AB did catch a touchdown against the Dolphins, though. 4 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. Not too bad for his first day in the office at Foxborough, though they were in Miami. And also, you outscored 102-10 in your first 2 games, which just so happened to be home games. How it feels being dominated and getting thrown around like rag dolls in front of your own fans.
This could just be my opinion, but you want to sit there and say AB scored a touchdown against Miami? Aristotle can score a touchdown against Miami.
My 12-year-old little brother can score a few touchdowns against Miami. That's how I feel about their defense. My mom can go on an 85-yard run for a touchdown against this defense.
Well, at least they're still living. Aristotle's been dead for 3,000 years.
Well, if you want to talk about Aristotle, let's bring in Edgar Allan Poe can coach a damn good offense against the Miami defense. See how good of a writer he was? Let him draw some offensive plays.
I mean, you watch this Miami team play, you could probably put an empty wheelchair on the field and get a better performance.
Oh, wow.
At least it can move.
Well, wouldn't they need somebody to move that chair to control it?
I don't know. I would think that the wheelchair has a better chance of being self-reliant than for Miami to successfully move it.
Well, Josh Rosen is expected to start week 3, so hopefully the Dolphins' luck can change.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure they announced that Fitzpatrick is still the starter.
Well, I thought they announced Rosen as a starter. So I guess they want to stick to going through a lot of Fitz tragedies.
We can sit here and make Miami jokes all day.
This is fun for us. We're not Miami fans. We can care
dude,
less about Miami Dolphins.
Dude, Miami fans know that the season is lost. Miami fans know that their team is terrible.
Fitz tragically terrible at that.
like this is just a laughing stock, man. If they actually win a game, it would be a complete fluke.
It's also going to be a turn up at within South Beach. Might even win a game. Let's go drink at South Beach. Okay, and then next thing you know, there's a police report about them the next day. Over a 1 win. Seriously?
I mean, it's so bad they're already showing up to the game. They showed up to the second game of the season, wearing bags on their head.
Yeah. Y'all have fun with all that this season, Miami. Y'all have fun.
Oh, at least they're going to get the first pick in the draft, and there's no question about that.
I'm looking at Tua Tagovailoa. So you're going to have Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray? Yeah. Have your cake and eat it too. Nice.
Kyler Murray plays for Arizona.
Oh my God. I'm thinking about this year's draft. That's how tired I am, y'all. That's how tired I am. I'm still thinking about Kyler Murray getting drafted first overall. And I'm still thinking about this year, like last year's draft where Kyler Murray got taken. Thanks for correcting me.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, y'all, I've been really tired as of late. So y'all have to forgive me. I've been scatterbrained from my job. Right. But,
Like I
I'm
said
embarrassed
last week, Miami Dolphins may officially give Tua Tagovailoa a reason to come back for his senior season.
yeah. So, Lil Tagovailoa's going to have to, sit on the bench for another year.
Yeah. Okay. We're running a bit long. 37 minutes, 32 minutes, something like that. And like I said, we could probably sit here and make fun of Miami for a long time.
It's actually very fun for me. It's actually making fun of Miami can actually get you out of depression, everybody. If you want to find a way to let go of depression, talk about the Miami Dolphins and talk about how they're in more cracker situations than whatever other people are going through.
And like I said to you earlier, with the way things are now starting to go in New York, with the Jets now down 2 quarterbacks.
They're down to the third string, and we're only through 2 weeks of the season.
And, it's like,
I mean,
with Buffalo being the only real challenge now, I said, the Patriots could probably sit Tom Brady for 8 games and still win the division by at least 4.
It's serious. Like the Patriots can actually do that. You can sit Tom Brady for 8 games, and they'll still win the division.
Like, okay, yay.
That's just how bad the AFC East is.
Yeah. I mean, there's still hope for Buffalo, at least comparatively speaking, when compared to the Jets and Dolphins.
Well, I mean, Buffalo right now is they're 2-0, right?
They're 2-0, yeah. With wins over New York and New York?
No.
No.
They had defeated the New York Giants week 1. I forgot who the Bills played this weekend.
I just read about it, and now I'm drawing a blank on that. Buffalo.
They beat the Giants week 1. No, wait.
They beat the Jets week 1.
They beat the Jets week 1. The Giants got beaten by the Cowboys. They beat the Jets week 1. And who did they beat in week 2?
No, who cares?
I was just reading about it.
And I was
too.
too.
It's on mine now.
All right. Yeah, not important. But, thanks for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk Football. We hope to see you next week. And hopefully next week can be a better weekend. It was an entertaining weekend this past weekend, just for the most part, not in a good way.
Sayonara.